It was a cold, rainy evening when Maya Carter left her late night shift at the diner. Her sneakers were soaked, her jacket barely kept her warm, and her tired eyes longed for sleep. But for this single mom, exhaustion was nothing new. Ever since her husband left years ago, it had just been her and her 7-year-old son, Ethan, trying to make ends meet. The walk home was always the hardest part. Each step reminded her of bills waiting on the kitchen counter, groceries running out too soon, and Ethan's quiet wish for things other kids had, like new sneakers or a birthday party with balloons. Still, Maya smiled. She had made a promise to herself. No matter how hard life got, she would never let her son feel unloved. That night, as she passed a nearly empty park, a sudden sound stopped her, gasping. She turned and saw a man in a sharp suit clutching his chest, stumbling and collapsing onto the bench. For a split second, fear froze her. But then instinct kicked in. "Sir, can you hear me?" she shouted, rushing to his side. His lips were pale, his breath ragged. Maya had once taken a CPR class in high school, something she never thought she'd need. But now, kneeling on the wet pavement, her hands pressed against the man's chest, she counted compressions out loud, her own tears mixing with the rain. "Please don't die, please hang on," she whispered desperately. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, an ambulance screeched to a halt. Paramedics took over, shocking the man back to life. As they lifted him into the vehicle, one turned to Maya. "You saved him. If you hadn't acted, he wouldn't have made it." Maya sat back, trembling, barely able to process what had happened. She didn't even ask his name. She just went home, hugging Ethan tighter than ever that night. 2 days passed. Then one morning, as she walked into the diner for her shift, the place buzzed with whispers. A group of men in expensive suits sat at the corner booth, and in the middle of them was him, the man from the park, alive, healthy, and staring straight at her. "Maya Carter?" he asked, standing. His voice was steady but full of emotion. "I've been looking for you." Her heart raced. I didn't even know your name." "Richard Hale," he said softly, "CEO of Hale Industries." The diner went silent. Everyone knew that name. Richard Hale wasn't just wealthy. He was one of the most influential businessmen in the state. Maya's face flushed. "I just did what anyone would do." But Richard shook his head. "No, most people would have walked past. You saved my life, and I won't forget that." Over the next weeks, Richard showed up often, sometimes for coffee, sometimes just to see how she was doing. At first, Maya kept her guard up. She was used to struggle, not kindness from strangers. But Richard wasn't like other men. He noticed Ethan's drawings on the counter, asked about his favorite superheroes, and even showed up to one of his school games, cheering louder than anyone else. Slowly, walls began to crumble. One evening, Richard confessed something. "When I collapsed that night, I thought I'd reached the end. And in those moments, I realized how much I'd built a life filled with money, but not meaning. Meeting you and Ethan has given me something I didn't even know I was missing." The Maya's eyes brimmed with tears. For years, she had prayed for a break, for something good to happen. And now, standing in front of her was the man whose life she had saved. Yet somehow, it felt like he was saving hers. 2 months later, Maya and Ethan found themselves not just surviving, but truly living. Richard had introduced them to a world they never imagined. Yet he never treated them as anything less than equals. He loved them not out of obligation, but out of genuine care. And the single mom who once walked home in the rain with empty pockets, now walked into a future filled with love, laughter, and second chances. Sometimes the smallest act of courage, choosing to help, choosing kindness, can change your entire life. Maya saved a stranger that night, but what she really did was open the door to a love story she never thought she deserved. And for Richard Hale, the CEO who had everything but meaning, it wasn't wealth that saved him. It was the compassion of a poor single mom with a heart of gold. Love doesn't always arrive in the ways we expect. Sometimes, it comes disguised as a moment of selflessness and grows into a lifetime of miracles.